Hey everybody, welcome to this special edition of the Outdated Wrestling Hour. Why? We're going to talk about Bob and his trip to the International Pro Wrestling Hall of Fame in Albany. Albany, New York, the capital of New York State. What a city it is. They got so much cool stuff that I like up there, like great hot dogs. At Hot Dog Charlie's and Gus's Hot Dog, delish. Years ago, they had a place called Mike's Subs. You know what happened to them? Today, they're called Jersey Mike's Subs, and they're all over the world. There's also the New York State Capitol building, which is a beautiful place. Then there's the Egg, where they have concerts and all kinds of things. Why do they call it the Egg? It looks like an egg. There's great beer up there, too. You know, you ever have C.H. Evans or Genesee Cream Ale or Illuminating Serenity, that fancy schmancy beer? You can get them all up there in Albany, too. But my favorite memory is the Washington Avenue Armory, the Glens Falls Civic Center, and now the MVP Arena, the home of the still new International Pro Wrestling Hall of Fame. And we're going to talk all about it on the Outdated Wrestling Hour. Hey, when am I getting inducted in the Hall of Fame? I spent all my kid money on wrestling magazines, you young punks. Hello, everybody. My name is Bob Smith, and welcome back to the International Pro Wrestling Hall of Fame Awards edition for 2024 of the Outdated Wrestling Hour. This kind of stuff is right up my alley, and I'll tell you the whole story how I got involved and what's going on there. A few months ago, I see that Bill Apter, one of my best friends in wrestling, we worked at Pro Wrestling Illustrated together. As you know, I'm not going to bore you with the details again. He was going to be inducted into the still fledgling, really, it's only been around a few years, the International Pro Wrestling Hall of Fame, which is located in Albany, New York, at the MVP Arena, the beautiful 17,000 seat sports arena they have right in the middle of Albany. And I see he's getting inducted, and I go, I gotta go. Yeah, perfect excuse to go see him. I am from the Albany region originally, as you all know. Went to the Washington Avenue Armory a whole mess of times in my youth and young adult years. And I said, I got to go. So I called Bill. He goes, oh, I can't believe it. It was going to be Old Home Week. Unfortunately, Bill could not make it. At the last minute, he fell ill, and it was just one of those situations where he just couldn't come. But I had already ordered they had a beautiful banquet there and award ceremony, as well as for lack of a better term, a meet and greet and other events. And I was already penciled in. Seth Turner, the really fantastic head of the Hall of Fame, said, why don't you come up and interview some wrestlers while you're here? And I said, okay, fine. I'd love to do that. So I had a wonderful time. Sans Bill. Bill, I hope to run into you when they have another event in March, I believe. But what an organization. All right. If you are of my age, and if you're listening to the show, you probably are, this is something that's really, really needed in pro wrestling. And notice the word international. They inducted Ann Santel, one of the early proponents of Catch as Catch Can, which we now know as catch wrestling, who was a star all over the globe long before many of us were even born. And you know what? That's wrestling history for you. That's the real stuff. So I go to Albany. I'm welcomed with open arms by everybody. More people remember me than I thought. And the incredible thing is the Hall of Fame itself, which is part of the MVP Arena. Utterly fantastic. Utterly unbelievable. It's what we've all waited for. You know, it's not run by, and I'm not putting that to WWE Hall of Fame or the Memphis Hall of Fame or any other Hall of Fame. They're all great. Okay, I love Hall of Fames. It's what we all aspire to be part of, really. But I'm looking around this thing, and it's got a little of everything and a lot of many things. The actual wrestling tights and uniforms that many of the wrestlers wore. Chief Jay Strumble, full headdress and full regalia. I mean, star after star. New stuff from Harley Race and Jack Brisco and you name it. Belts, belts, belts. And, when I interviewed Seth on the show a few weeks ago, please go back and listen to that show where Seth was on the show. If you want to know the real meat and potatoes about the organization, please go back and listen to that after you hear this. It'll be a nice doubleheader. And both shows are relatively short, so it'll give you every aspect that you would ever want to know. I'm going through this Hall of Fame, but as you walk into the arena and you walk into the area, there's the plaques. Seth was right. The plaques are absolutely first rate. I have gone to a lot of sports Hall of Fames, including the New York Mets, and I look at the plaques and I go, I guess that's supposed to be Ed Kranepool. It's supposed to be Mike Piazza. How they do the art on the plaques. The art on these plaques, you can readily tell who they are at a glance. Great information on them, and already a great selection of inductees into the organization. I had a wonderful time. The awards banquet, for lack of a better term, was fantastic. Even the food was first rate. The hotel that they chose was wonderful. I mean, it was just great. So here's the inductees for this year. Now, Kurt Angle is inducted, but he will really take part in a ceremony in March because he couldn't be here for this. Other inductees, Jack Brisco and Dusty Rhodes, they're going to get along to them soon. The relatives of Ed Santel was there. Harley Race was inducted, and his wife and his son, Justin Race, were there. They were absolutely fantastic. I mean, Justin is a fountain of information. If you want to know anybody about Harley Race, spend 10 minutes with his son. Absolutely incredible. We're hoping to have him on the show sometime soon. We talked about it, and we're going to try to make that happen. Also, El Santo, the famous Mexican star. Trailblazer Award, Mario Savoldi, one of the nicest people I ever met. He was dumb enough to put me on his IWCCW show about 12 times. A wonderful guy, gave so many people their breaks, gave so many people jobs when they really needed them, and produced a wrestling show, particularly in the last few years of the IWCCW, that you could put your kids in the car and take everybody to go see. It wasn't overly violent. It wasn't bad language. It was against the grain at the time in the late 80s and early 90s. He did a fantastic job, and I'll always be indebted to him for that because it was good stuff. I really enjoyed it. Excelsior Award goes to, media guys. It goes to Bill Apter, who, like I said, was under the weather. He will probably accept his award in the coming months as well. And the Rocky Johnson Medal of Metal Award for somebody who extolled bravery outside the world of wrestling went to Korey Wise of the Exonerated Five from New York City. I had a blast. There were stars in my eyes for 2 days. Had great food, a wonderful hotel, a lot of friendly people, a chance to mingle with new stars and old, which I did, and I will present on this show in short little interviews you're about to hear. On these clips, you'll hear from Tony Atlas, Dan in Severn. We're going to talk to a young, really talented female wrestler, Kayla Sparks, who is going to be a star. I knew how to pick them in the introducing days. This woman is going to be a star. She's been around for a little while. She's already worked for WWE and AEW, and I think the best is definitely yet to come. She's the first woman wrestler I've had on the show, so I'm proud about that. And I introduced to you Kayla Sparks if you've never heard of her, and I hope you'll go see her whenever she appears in an arena near you. I also have a little talk with Morgan Williams, one of our fan club members. How do you like that? He showed up, introduced himself, talked for a long time. I figured, what the heck? Let's let everybody get to know him. And it'll be a way to hype our fan club as well. So hang on for a minute. We're going to do our commercial break here and come back with a look at the absolutely incredible International Pro Wrestling Hall of Fame. Something I would like all of you to look into, get some T-shirts, learn about it, read about it on their website, find out when you know what? It's worth the trip. You want to take a little mini vacation? Come up to Albany. They will accommodate you. I was talking to the organization heads over dinner the other night, and there's many ways to come up and enjoy both the museum, the plaques, and Albany, New York itself. I know the old man in the intro talked about some things. Albany's a great, beautiful, clean town with a lot to do and a lot of friendly people. I am going to be on my soapbox about the International Pro Wrestling Hall of Fame from now until the time I retire from all this stuff, which could be any minute now. You never know. But for now, I'm up on it. I think they're awesome. And my only regret is that my friend Bill Apter was not there. But I'll see him soon. And I'll see you soon right after these words. And we'll get some interviews from the International Pro Wrestling Hall of Fame induction weekend. Glad I went. Long drive on the way back. What is with traffic in New York State now? Oh, shoot, that's the other show. Okay, I'll be right back. Well, it's sort of kind of been in the news lately. We want you to know all about it. Recently, the Outdated Wrestling Hour podcast with Bob Smith has joined the WrestleCopia Podcast Network. I'm really glad to be part of this team, and you can hear the podcast virtually anywhere the podcasts are offered. Such great shows like the Wrestling Memory Grenade, Regional Wrestling, is the Wrestling Stoop with Bob Rube. Gene Jackson's another great host. You can hear him on the Retro Wrestling Review, which looks back at the classic days of USWA, and the brand new show, Dangerous Conversations with Doug Gilbert, featuring, well, Doug Gilbert, one of the great Memphis wrestlers of all time. Also on the WrestleCopia Podcast Network, Dave Dynasty and his long-standing hit podcast, Wrestling Nostalgia, featuring an A-list bunch of professional wrestlers you never know who you're going to hear speaking with Dave. And of course, a serious bent on the WWA, and I love that. There's DG's Puro Wrestling Academy. Join host Dan Giannetti as they travel back in time to discuss the history of wrestling in Japan. Through the decades, not just recently. You're going to want to check out that show. Monday Warfare, Raw vs. Nitro, looks at, well, the classic Monday Night Wrestling Wars. The Other Ship podcast describes itself as a pop culture podcast with a pro wrestling lean. Join a rotating group of co-hosts as they talk movies, sports, TV, food, and of course, wrestling. How can you beat that? And they got a whole mess of great special guests, too. Also on the WrestleCopia Podcast Network, you're going to want to check out The Captain's Corner, GrappleCon, TR Shocks the World, WCNN News, and a whole lot more. You'll never know what you're going to hear on the WrestleCopia Podcast Network. Well, how do you find all this stuff, right? Simple. Start out by just logging on to WrestleCopia.com and let them take you on that ride, baby. To pro wrestling old and new. All right, one of my favorite people that I met in all my years of pro wrestling was Tony Atlas, who fluctuated between the NWA, WWF, and various indies, including IWCCW, where he was the champion during my time at the magazines. But I spent a lot of time in a lot of cars where he was appearing, and even got to interview him on 3 occasions on IWCCW television. And it was always a joy running into him. During my little conversations, I was running around the this big meet and greet area with a microphone and a portable PA. I was interviewing the stars, the new stars, the old stars, everybody that was there, basically. I talked to a few people I don't have. I should mention that were there that weren't necessarily Hall of Fame inductees this year, like Rita Marie, the famous referee from WWF days. We all know she got a really bad deal, but you know what? She was a good referee, and she's a really nice person, and she's still into wrestling these days. It was a thrill to meet her, as well as Mrs. Harley Race. Just I was in awe of these folks. But anyway, Tony Atlas, right? There was a moment when we all decided to talk about the legacy of Harley Race, because his son and wife were there, and we wanted them to know how everybody felt. And here's how Tony Atlas felt about Harley Race, the GOAT. What more can I say about Harley Race?
The greatest champion of wrestling was Harley Race. The reason I say that, when you wrestle most people in the business, with the exception of people like Harley Race, Tito Santel, and Rick the Steamboat, they're what you call adjustable. Harley Race could wrestle Andre the Giant and have a great match. Harley Race could wrestle Little Lure the Midget, have a great match. Because what Harley Race would do, he will adjust to your style. To whatever your style is, Harley could adjust to that, to work with you. He could work a scientific match where it's nothing but wrestling, and he could do a brawl match. Whereas a lot of people, Ric Flair is a great champion, but Ric Flair in the brass business, we say he's repetitious. Hulk Hogan, great champion, but was repetition. You could almost call what they're going to do, but Harley didn't know. Because every night, Harley had a different match. He would design a match for you. That match fit you. Now, the match he had with me would be totally different than the match he had with Tito. Totally different the match he would have with... That's what made Harley so amazing. But of all the great things that Harley have done, he was a great friend to me. He helped me out a lot. He wanted Ole Anderson to put the belt on me years ago. He said, Ole, I'm going to Japan now. Don't leave this kid sitting on the shelf. This kid is hot. You should put the belt on him. I would take it back when I get back from Japan. The first time I met Harley Race was in Bob Geiger territory. And I walked out, I'm young in the business, but they had a whole bunch of people, I don't know where they come from, with the long beards and the pointy hats, shotguns in the cars and stuff, chewing tobacco and looking at me the way he looking at me. So I said to myself, Harley, because Harley was last, and I was the first back. He saw me dress a kid. Why you still here? You should be gone by now. I said, Harley, I'm afraid to go out there because these people give me dirty looks. He said, I tell you what, kid, you go, you tell them, you know Harley Race. I had whooped everybody in this town. He said, I had whooped everybody in this town. I wrestled Harley Race in the Albany, in Atlanta. Ole Anderson always trying to come up with something different. Well, you know, you got posing trunks that you pose with in bodybuilding. Well, you got wrestling trunks, which is a lot more, cover more. So Ole said, hey, I want you to wear them posing trunks you won that contest in. I said, Ole, they like bikinis or something. Oh, the people going to love it. I want you to wear your posing trunks tonight. So I put on the posing trunk. Harley was in the ring, he had his back to me. All of a sudden, he turned around, he looked at me like, what in the fuck is this? And I said, well, Ole want me to wear these trunks. What type of trunks are them? Them are posing trunks. This ain't no damn bodybuilding contest. This is wrestling. How come you didn't wear your wrestling trunks out here? So I said, well, that's what Ole wanted. So Ole turned around, took off his jacket and everything. We started wrestling. So we're going to call a spot. Harley said, give me a backdrop. So I threw Harley to the rope. I bent over to give a backdrop. As he went over, he grabbed them damn trunks and pulled them all the way down to my ankle. I'm pulling my trunks back up and everything. And so I grabbed Harley in the headlock. I said, Harley, what you do that for? He said, I want the people to see the dark side of the moon. I never wore them trunks again. But when we talk about pro wrestling, in my opinion, I have never met anybody better than Harley Race. Never. I mean, I had matches with him. I didn't know my way. I didn't know a headlock from a wrist lock. You know, Harley led you through the match. A lot of people don't know that. Harley would make you look like $1 million. Make you look like $1 million in the ring. Now, the one thing that nobody want to do with Harley Race is get in a fight with him. Y'all remember Butch Reed, right? Harley Race at this time, I asked his son the other day how old was Harley when he was managing Vader in WCW. Remember when Harley was a manager? When we was at this hotel, Delaney, the Ramada Inn, I was managing. I was there with Cactus Jack. I was a heel with Cactus Jack, and we was all sitting in the bar drinking and doing karaoke. Where Butch Reed was, he looked, Butch Reed big, huge, and this was what 1993. For some reason, he kept picking on Harley, cause he heard a story about Harley fighting and stuff. He kept saying, hey old man. Harley had enough of that old man stuff. He's still up. Butch tried to take on Harley. Harley Race, this is 93, knocked him out. Butch woke up, Harley Race knocked him out again, right there in the bar. Knocked him out twice. One punch. One punch. So you can do whatever you want to a Harley Race, just don't fight him. One time I tried to get cute with him in the ring, but he liked it me. If he didn't, he would just whoop my ass and left it like that. He liked it me for some reason, I don't know why. When he took my nipple and put it in his mouth and ground it with his teeth, he said, hey, if I bite off that nipple of yours, you can't win no more than bodybuilding shows now, can't you? And I said, no, sir. He said, well, then do what the fuck I tell you. But if you ever met him, he would get your shirt off his back. Toughest SOB I've met in my life. Love his family. Love the fans. When I say an autograph, I think about every autograph I said, I think about Harley Race. This is the reason why. I watched Harley sad. He took his time. I said, Harley, just said it. He said, these people work very, this is Harley Race. I quote, these people work very hard for their money. They travel a long way to see me. These people deserve a good autograph. That's Harley. These people deserve a good autograph. You see how some people did this scribble? Harley wouldn't do that. He would take his time with every fan. Sometimes they try to rush the line through. Harley, hey, give him time to get his autograph. Give him time. People didn't, now the vendors didn't like it, but that was Harley. He felt that the fans were just as important as anybody in that building. They travel a long way. They work hard for their money. They deserve a good autograph. And from that day on, every time I send somebody an autograph, I think about, even though I'm saying in my name, I think about the word of Harley Race stuck in my head. These people deserve a good autograph. And if you want to move with anything, great champion, good autograph, and the dark side of the moon.
So I'm chatting up all the old timers there, right, at the Hall of Fame meet and greet. And I look in the back, and there's Kayla Sparks. You know, they all had merchandise tables and information about themselves. And I'm like, what's she doing here? I mean, she's a rising star if I've ever seen one. As you all know, I did the introducing columns in the wrestling magazines back in the day. If it was today and I was with PWI, I would use her as an introducing and let people know about her. She's already been a part of a couple of shots in WWE and AEW. She has as much raw talent as I've ever seen in the ring of either gender, and she's got a unique charisma, and she's going to make it. She's going to make it big. So I had the privilege of being able to talk to a rising star here. If you've never heard of her before, is the Spice Ranger herself. I love that nickname. She explained it too. The Spice Ranger herself. It's Kayla Sparks. Here she is. I don't get a chance to talk to today's wrestlers at all. All I talk to is guys with big old gray beards, but not Kayla Sparks. Kayla, welcome to the Outdated Wrestling Hour. We're all really old, that listen to this show.
No, it's such an honor to be here. Thank you so much.
Oh, my pleasure. What a career you've had so far. You've been on AEW, you've been in the WWE. What's it been like? You said you took 12. I just heard you say you took 12 years off. Why?
I started wrestling when I was 13, and I wrestled till I was about 19 or so, until I got a really bad concussion. That's what set me off for 14 years. Then I came back summer of 2021, and it's been amazing ever since my journey. 2 months into me coming back, I got to wrestle in front of 20,000 people at the Arthur Ashe Stadium against Thunder Rosa.
I live right around the corner from there.
Wow, you do?
And,
wow.
and you were part of that big show.
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
Slam one, yeah, that was amazing. So pinching myself, still. From then to now, it's been an amazing journey so far. So,
has it? I know how hard people train and how hard it is to get. It's hard to get a $15 booking in an indie. It just is. How daunting is it? I know a lot of young guys. There's one guy named Sonny Blaze who I knew who was starting out around 88. And he told me every 2 weeks he wanted to throw his boots in the trash. And then all of a sudden the WWE came calling. He was enhancement talent for 3 years. So what are you hoping to achieve? I mean, in terms of longevity, I don't want to talk about pushes and stuff like that. I think it's juvenile. I just think you just want to work, right?
Right. No, that's actually, so my dream ever since I was a kid was to make it to WWE. And so like when you mentioned that about the enhancement talent, that's what I pretty much have been getting a lot of opportunities with WWE and AEW since 2021. So my goal is to hopefully, get a tryout for WWE, get, hopefully, like, fingers crossed that, but that's everyone's dream. But, so, and it's been amazing. Like whenever I'm at WWE or AEW, like your first impression is like everything. Like, that's why I'm always just like, it's more so like the wrestling is great. Like, it's good to like train and like all that. But I think the other side of it is like how you treat other people, you know what I mean? So like for me, I've always like been, just going out of my way to like say hi and like ask everyone how they're doing and stuff like that. So backstage, they remember that, like they remember that you're genuine and that you like you do want to work there. And so like I always make it a point, like if I see, just anyone to always say hi, and it goes a long way. Yeah.
I'm standing here talking to you, 3 letters just popped into my head. No, NWA, they could use somebody like you.
Oh yeah, that would be an awesome opportunity too. I haven't been able to work for them yet, but I'm whatever comes my way, or whatever I can,
Right. Here's an insider question that I don't know the answer to.
Yeah.
How do you reach out? You as an independent wrestler now, how do you reach out to these companies? Is it like it used to be? Here's my video, here's my demo sizzle reel. How does it work?
I think that's pretty much the same, like how it works. Like with social media, which is huge. Back when I first started wrestling, there wasn't no social media yet. So now I think what helps me and it helps a lot of people like up and coming is you put yourself out there. A lot of people come up to me, which means a lot, is like sharing my story and how it's inspired them, which means a lot to me because like it took me a long time to get where I'm at. So I lost my train of thought. Sorry. So for social media, it helps a lot for anyone that like needs to get like their name or like get their to get opportunities. I think that's the best bet. And then to reach out proactively to like promoters and say like, here's my resume, here's my, and then hopefully, you get an opportunity.
It's really like anything else.
Yeah.
Just about,
like a work, exactly. Yeah.
You know something? I'm looking at your gimmicks, your table here, nice photos, and she has a T-shirt, and I did not know. Forgive me. Justin of the Hall of Fame says, "Well, Spice Ranger's going to be here." I said. What?
Yeah.
And now I realize it's Kayla Sparks. How did you come up with that?
So I'm a 90s kid, so I grew up in the 90s, so Spice Girls and Power Rangers, that's pretty much where I get, and that's like my whole personality. Like I have it tattooed, okay. Spice Girls, Power Rangers, like that's my whole like thing. So girl power, positivity, and all those fun stuff.
Plus, nobody can sue you.
Yeah, right?
No copyright infringement here.
Oh, yeah, no. I actually, from doing all these conventions and stuff, I've been blessed to be able to meet Power Rangers, actually, that I grew up watching, and they support me, which is that's huge for me. So, like, that being able to get, like, the Power Rangers I grew up watching and get their support, you know what I mean?
That's great. Well, listen, continued success. I wanted to have you on the show because, you know what, we've seen you before. Since you work local, I feel kind of a kinship with you. So keep it up. And you're from this. I'm originally from Catskill, the big city of Catskill. Yeah.
Wow, Catskill. That's not too far
30 miles south of here.
Yeah, I know exactly where that is.
Yes.
Schenectady was my hometown. So.
Yeah. So I'm a Capital District guy, and I miss it up here. I'm starting to miss it, and I'm starting to wish I could live up here again because I live in New York City, and the drive just getting out of the city every time is hellacious.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't know. I don't envy you for living in the city.
I do it every day. I'm still in sports media, and I'm still doing it every day. Please. All right. In any event, this is Kayla Sparks, an up-and-coming superstar. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Yeah, thank you.
One of the most accomplished athletes I think I've ever met is Dan Severn. I mean, he's done everything. Judo, MMA, pro wrestling, down the line, over and over, championships galore. He had a bunch of belts when it took up the whole width of a table. Incredible. And you know what? He's one of the coolest people I met there. I mean, Sometimes you think that, the bigger they are, the more inaccessible they'll be. Not Dan Severn. He was funny and smart and really accommodating and really was talking and laughing with everyone who was there. And he really knows his stuff about everything. A charmed life, but an incredible athlete. Here's Dan Severn after I asked him about, when you sit back and look at all the stuff you've accomplished in an idle moment, what do you think about? Let's find out. Hey, listen, you've done everything. Very few athletes have accomplished what you have. You ever sit in your easy chair at home and go, that was pretty cool? Did you ever take it in and say, look what I did?
Momentarily, but then I don't sit there very long because, again, anyone that really truly knows me knows that I stay busy. And it's kind of like I'm working on, I'm here. Look, I've got a laptop sitting in front of me. So when I'm not busy interacting with some of the folks that are here, talking about professionals, then I'm back here working on the next project. I will be like that for probably the rest of my life. And even when my demise finally does happen somewhere down the road, I will have a planner with a whole lot more projects that people are going to be a little upset because Dan Severn won't be there.
Ladies and gentlemen, Wrestling Fans International Association is back. That's right, the premier fan club association of the 1970s and 1980s has been revived and is back in business. Join today. It's free at thewfia.org. That's thewfia.org. You can also join us on Facebook at facebook.com/groups/WFIA 1969.
What an absolute treat it was for me to run into Morgan Williams, one of our fan club members, a major wrestling fan. He goes everywhere. He sees everything. And, he's a great guy. He's one of our Outdated Wrestling Hour fan club members. And I really appreciate that. The fact that he would come out. We had talked on Facebook and he said, I'll come out and see you there. And he did. And he knows everything. He's seen everything. He's really kind of a wrestling expert, and I want you to hear his words because he's a smart guy, and I really appreciate his support on these podcasts that I do. And again, it's the Outdated Wrestling Hour Fan Club. Go to our website, outdatedwrestlinghour.buzzsprout.com, and you can learn how to join and everything about it. I want you to meet Morgan, too. Here he is. Sir, state your name.
Morgan Williams.
And Morgan Williams, are you a Outdated Wrestling Hour fan club member?
Absolutely.
Hi, nice to meet you. I'm in Albany, New York here at the precursor to the International Pro Wrestling Hall of Fame awards banquet that's happening tonight. And they have a little thing here where they had a bunch of the wrestlers come out, like Tony Atlas and Tito Santana and Dan Severn and many others, young wrestlers, old wrestlers, you name it. And they've all been here taking part in Q&As, and I got to do a Q&A, and it was a lot of fun. Did you have fun coming to this?
Absolutely. I've been coming to wrestling conventions since 2003, 2004, since I found out about them, and it's always a good time.
Yeah, I'm finding this out because I went to a convention in Philly last year. I had every bit as much fun as I had today. You never know who's going to pop in. Now, last year, Bill Apter showed up in Philly. I should have known because he lives in Philly. Today he's supposed to be here, and I want to be one of the people to give him a send-off at the awards ceremony later. Unfortunately, he is ill. He's ill, yes.
He's stuck in Dan Severn.
Well, that goes, too, because they're fighting over the inter-office championship, which I believe is legitimately a piece of cardboard with crayon on it. Did you see them do that before?
Yes, yeah, I'm telling you.
Was it the original inter-office belt that we used to have at the office?
I don't know if it's the original, but it was a spectacular looking homemade belt.
I think I'm the only staffer who never fought for that belt. They were ducking me. I could have taken him for that belt. My famous eye twist. I would have beaten Apter, please.
Absolutely. and now look where he is now. He has Dan the Beast Severn after him now.
He's still after him. I talked to Dan before. Bill, if you're listening, Dan still wants you. He's out for blood. He's twice as big as I am. I wouldn't mess with him. What are you thinking? Bill was just Bill do anything.
But knowing Bill Apter, he's going to find a way to either get out of it, or either way, he's going to win. Like, somehow he's going to leave with that inner office championship belt, and there's nothing Dan Severn can do about it. Somehow Bill Apter always gets out on top.
He does. He's been on top. He's of advanced years now. I tell everybody this. I worked with him for the 8 years or whatever it was. He's busier now than he was when I worked with him. He was always busy then. You know why? He loves what he does. Nobody loves what he does or this business more than Bill Apter does. He will do it. I was at his house 10 years ago. I said, Bill, you thinking of retiring? Because I'm never going to retire. That's how he feels. I'm never going to retire.
Absolutely. Speaking of conventions, I met Bill Apter at a convention years ago, and I didn't ask him this question, but someone asked him a question about retirement, and he went, from what? From what?
It's not work to Bill. This is fun for him, and it's been good to him. I'm gratified because when the wrestling magazines all went belly up and he left the company and everything else, there's really no place to go that was substantial. I lucked out with WCW for a while, but there was really no place to go after that. But he stuck with it and used his good name in the business to continue to be a force. And how many people falling by the wayside? He's still doing it. It just flabbergasted.
People still give him credit for PWI, which he hasn't been at for years.
Well, I just saw he did a video on Facebook saying, I don't do the 500 anymore. I haven't been there in decades. So what can I tell you?
Because he had the WOW magazine after that, right? The WOW?
I did some work for him there.
And that was a slick magazine.
It was a great magazine.
It was just a shame it hit at the decline, at the tail end of the magazine era. Like, as the magazines, it hit right when the magazines were dying out, which it was a shame because I used to buy it. I thought it was a really slick publication.
I still have the ones I work for, and you're right. It was as slick as any magazine that was out there. Well, this is Morgan Williams from the Albany, New York area. He just moved back here, right?
Moved back to hometown, Albany, New York. Happy to be back. Standing in the same arena here that Ric Flair won the 1992 Royal Rumble.
I was here.
Absolutely.
And is it worth it being a pro wrestling... Well, I can't even think of the name of my own podcast. Is it worth it being an Outdated Wrestling Hour fan club member? You've been one of the original ones. I appreciate it so much. I really do. You're people like you who have made this more fun than I thought it was going to be when I started, honestly. And, we do our little Zoom meetings every couple of months, and we talk online. But I just want to thank you and everybody else who's joined because it's much appreciated. Thanks to you guys, I can start a second podcast, so I appreciate it.
Bob, I gotta say, it's the best $10 I spend every month.
Get out of here! It's not better than the Jersey Mike's. It's not.
Well, I gotta have to stay away from certain foods and try as I'm getting older, trying to eat better or whatever.
It's not better than Stewart's vanilla.
Oh well, yeah, Stewart's ice cream is my weakness.
Me too. Before I go home tomorrow, I am having some Stewart's. I'm going to find a shop and get a large cup of it. They make the best vanilla. Fun Bob Smith fact: I managed the Stewart's way back in the '70s before I started in journalism, and the job sucked, but the ice cream was good.
Absolutely. I've lived the past 6 years on Cape Cod. As soon as I moved back home to Albany, I ran to a Stewart's. It's one of the first things I did.
All right. Anybody coming to the Capital District of New York State, you got to stop at a Stewart's bread and butter shop. Tell them that Morgan and Bob sent you, won't you? I'd appreciate that. Morgan, thanks so much, man.
My honor, Bob. Is great finally meeting you in person.
So all this that you've heard was part of the meet and greet that they had earlier in the day from noon to 3 at the MVP Arena in Albany. Also, the Godfather was there just to mingle and mix. Hilarious guy. The Godfather is, boy, what a massive piece of manhood he is. He is a huge human being. What a nice guy. Really, really tremendous guy. The Godfather. Awesome. Or Papa Shango. Or any of the other guys, as he said. I guess it was Soul Taker in Texas, I believe. Well, anyway, he was there. And there were more wrestlers there, too. And young and old. And we had a wonderful time. The banquet was absolutely fantastic. The award ceremonies were great. Mac Davis, I want to give a plug to. I don't know a lot about Mac, but he's a friendly, gregarious guy and an awesome speaker on the mic, a real communicator, a broadcast pro, and he did a fantastic job. I want to give him his props too, and everybody else, the audio video department. But most of all, it was the vibe in the room, guys. This is my scene. These are my people. This is why I do this show, to give thanks and appreciation to the great memories we all have of professional wrestling as it once was. So there's a lot of great clips on Facebook from the organization. But most of all, the reason I want to do this follow-up show, I want you to just simply log on to prowrestlinghall.net. Okay, that's their official website. You can learn all about the organization. It's growing with leaps and bounds. There's already a list of tremendous Hall of Famers. You can donate to the organization to help perpetuate it. You can find them on Facebook and Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube. They have a shop with the best looking wrestling t-shirts I have ever seen. I bought 2. I don't wear wrestling t-shirts. I'm going to wear these. I'm serious. Beautiful, beautiful logo and very tasteful. It's not over the top like a lot of wrestling shirts are. So if you would like to support the organization and look good in the meantime, get some shirts, get some hats, stuff like that. But most of all, I want you to learn about the International Pro Wrestling Hall of Fame. Seth Turner and everyone that works there. What a crew. I mean, it's a not-for-profit. It's chartered by the New York State Department of Education's museum to preserve and honor the history of professional wrestling. That's rare. I mean, I don't know how they got New York State to help with this, but I want to give a shout out to the people involved with the organization. Seth Turner, the president, Mike Lanuto, the vice president, Andrew Groff, the treasurer, Joe DeFino, who did the media production, Mike Falvo, who did more multimedia production, and other people involved are Eric Schneider, Greg Wachtel, Ken Crowley, KJ Britton, Michael Viscasi, I hope I'm pronouncing that correct. And the honorary trustees, dig this, is Dan Severn, Bushwhacker Luke, Tito Santana, and James J. Dillon. The ballot committee chairman is Mark Hewitt. The people on that committee are Tim Hornbaker. I think you've heard that name before. Nathan Hatton and Phil Lyons. The ambassadors for the organization are Anthony DePippo, Nicholas Marshall, Ringside Gemma, and Billy Ann Wolf. These are real wrestling people who love real wrestling. I would suggest you find out about these folks any way you can. And in March, they're having a big event. Keep an eye on the website. They'll let you know all about that. Look at Facebook. Follow them there. If you like this show, you will love the International Pro Wrestling Hall of Fame. That's all I have to say about it for right now. But you know what? Thank you, Seth Turner, for being so accommodating and for actually asking me to be part of the event. I didn't expect that. I was just coming to see Apter. I appreciate it more than I can ever tell you. And I will continue to support the International Pro Wrestling Hall of Fame because it's from my region. It's doing the right thing. It's a fantastic hall. Enough of my hype. If you don't believe me, of all people, I don't know who you can believe about this. It's a world full of cynicism out there. And they, this organization, according to Seth, it's had its share of flack about stuff, which I don't understand. And you know what? I don't care. I'm out to have some fun. So are these folks. Good enough? I think so. The Outdated Wrestling Hour is part of the WrestleCopia podcast network. Find us on Facebook. I'm Bob Smith, the one singing with BB King. We're also on what used to be Twitter and Threads. Look up the words Outdated Bob. I think I go by those handles there. But, Facebook is my main jam. If you really want to find me, you will find me there. And you can write to us at outdatedwrestling@gmail.com if you want to discuss anything about professional wrestling. That's the place to find me. Just to talk about non-business things. I tend to use my mailbox on Facebook for correspondence and other things about the show. Not like who's your favorite tag team. I can't budget the time there, but I can certainly budget in my Gmail box. So please do that. Like I said, I mentioned the Outdated Wrestling Hour fan club earlier. But you know what? If you were thinking about making a donation to my fan club, donate to the International Pro Wrestling Hall of Fame. They do accept donations as a not-for-profit. It will help immeasurably in helping make the organization bigger and stronger and have even better events in the future. With Seth Turner behind it, I have no question that they will. So I'm still buzzing from my trip to Albany, and I got to stop at a Stewart's shop and have the best vanilla ice cream in the world, made up in Saratoga Springs. It is the best ice cream. If you're ever in upstate New York in the Albany region, Capital District, and you see a Stewart's store, stop, ask the nice people behind the counter for Just a cup of vanilla. I'm telling you, it's the best vanilla ice cream you will ever try. It's less expensive than the corporate ice creams. Ton of flavors. They'll make you a cone. They have something called the make your own sundae. Now dig this. They give you a plastic cup, right? And they put the scoop of ice cream in, and they also give you the toppings. And you can put as much or as little of I'd say about 11 different toppings on there as you want to. If you want hot fudge, they'll put that on for you. I'm telling you, Stewart's ice cream. Please. I worked for the company as a youth. I did. I worked full time as a young adult. And so you want about retailing, it's a tough job, but I will say this, it's the best product you will ever have in dairy. They make everything from heavy cream to ice cream to milk. They used to make ice milk. I don't know if they even make that anymore. Now people eat frozen yogurt, but I used to like ice milk, which was simply made with a lesser milk, probably skim milk. Anyway, enough of my yakking about ice cream. What am I doing to you people? My name is Bob Smith. I'm fat because I went to Stewart's, and this is the Outdated Wrestling Hour, a production of Bob Smith Podcast. Please check out the Entertainment Hour that we do, Outdated Entertainment Hour. The current edition has Steve Generelli from Stick to Wrestling. We're talking about toys. It's one of the best shows we've done. You're going to love this one. If you're from the 70s and 80s toys, people, even the 60s, tune into our Outdated Entertainment Hour about toys, available now wherever you get your podcasts. And YouTube. We're also on YouTube. Both this show and the other one, YouTube. I'm babbling. I'm Bob Smith. We'll see you next time. I usually quote Ringo Starr. He just says, peace and love is my closer. But this time I'm going to quote Tony Atlas, who, yes, I told you I worked with him a lot in the late 80s, early 90s. And I walk up, I go, how you doing? You remember me? So in the words of Tony Atlas, who are you again?